Well, hello there, Applebites. This is your Applebite written Rit Ralph talking to you from our show here, Apple Bites, where we take a bite out of the apple, share it with you, and have a lot of fun. Well, at least that's the idea. But according to the Green Room, comics are not fun, especially Marvel and DC.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Of
shame.
course, of course, we got Vaughn, Mr. Fish, written Rit Ralph, and Roman Tony.
How you guys doing?
Hey, everybody.
Doing great. Good to see you guys.
It's good to meet you guys.
Vaughn, since you're the new guy, why don't we start off with you? Tell the people the spiel. Give them all the beautiful stuff that you got, what you want to tell them, and I'll put up your beautiful book that's on Fund My Comic.
Yeah, so Phenomenova. So my comic book is called Phenomenova. So it's set 20 years after World War III and follows the idealistic son of a war hero who is struck by lightning while holding a mysterious crystal, and he finds himself awakening with lightning powers and super speed. And he decides he wants to use those powers to become a superhero, but he finds himself in way over his head when he attempts to stop a heist at a nuclear reactor and faces a supervillain that's totally out of his league. It's like, imagine... It's like a coming-of-age superhero story in a new world, and he is going to eventually become a member of a new team, similar to like the Teen Titans, but he'll be mentored by some of the heroes that fought during the war.
I like that. Dude, I gotta say, like, we were talking about it in the Green Room, the art for your covers are beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Man. Breathtaking. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I just got because I got a thumbnail for my Kickstarter cover that'll be coming later too.
Mhm.
And oh my, like it keeps coming. You know, it keeps coming. I'm very impressed with all the covers. I'm not even a huge variant cover guy, and I was like, I don't get why people get them. And then once you start realizing you have the opportunity to get different artists to do basically just a snapshot of your idea, it's so cool. And the thing is, I wanted to make it where it's like, okay, there is a definitive main cover, because one of the problems I do have with variant covers is when it's not, you're looking which one's the variant, which is the main cover, and it kind of like has an identity crisis. I wanted it like there's a clear main cover,
right?
But like it's not, you know, so the main cover will be available after the campaign, but there is an exclusive mini print that you get with your order. You can only get it through Fund My Comic, and all the variants are campaign exclusive, and they're $5 more. So those are limited editions. So once you can't get those, you can't get those.
I like that. I feel like that's one of the things that should be the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing a Kickstarter, you're doing a crowdfunder, you want something that that audience says, well, I funded, I helped you, and now I got this exclusive thing because I did that.
And the thing is, they don't have to either. Like, either way, the thing I wanted to do is, even if you back just the standard edition that everyone else can get later, you still get a mini print that they can't get later.
Exactly.
So even if that art were to be recreated, it wouldn't be in that form. So you could say, like, you could later on, if they're, you know, CGC or whatever, if they're like, oh, this was an original edition, and day one backers to add to that got an exclusive free trading card. So I wanted to really incentivize people who back early, make them feel extra special. And I might potentially for the 30th day bring back, like, you can pay $5 to get the free trading card. That was day one, but like, so that way they're still happy if they were day one backer.
Yeah, because they got it free.
Yeah, exactly. Because $5 for a trading card is a lot. But listen, if people, if I wouldn't blame you for not paying for it, but if someone is, I'm like, okay, I'll take the money. Like, you know how much it costs to print that? Not $5.
Exactly.
You know, so if you want to pay $5 for a little, it is a cool it's going to be a cool trading card. But one of the things, I mean, man, I was always like, why doesn't everyone just self-publish? And then you realize, because you don't just write. Like, all my favorite writers, okay, they wrote, they didn't. And then I start having to learn everything. I'm like, what? There's different types of paper. There's different types of paper. There's different. What is plating? There's offset versus digital printing. All right. There's like glossy, and then you start learning all these little things. You're like, okay, so you have to print this amount. And I would always say these things. Why are these crowdfunded books so expensive? And then I'm like, oh my God, like the printing costs are insane. Production costs also, you realize, like, because I remember I'd hear these rates and at first be like $100 or however many dollars a page. That's and then I'm like, well, actually no, because that's an entire piece of artwork. That's not crazy at all. You know, and it makes sense. Comics, I want to say I was about to say comics are expensive, but the truth is, despite all the complaining I could do about that, they're really, and part of why I started leaning that way, I majored in film. They're really not compared to like animation. Compared,
Yeah.
Oh man.
Mhm.
I had to raise 4.5K for a short film. That
Whew.
on my YouTube channel, the crew wasn't even paid. It was the actors were barely paid. We
That
got
sounds about right.
the equipment from the school.
Yep.
Still 4.5K.
Yeah, and you've only got to get a couple of people to work together on a comic at worst.
Yeah.
But like to do a movie, you've got to get a bunch of people, you've got to get actors and stuff, and then everybody wants to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Like you can really get your dream the way you want it in a comic.
Yeah, and then you have to also get someone to design their wardrobes. Meanwhile, with a comic, you just like tell the artist, like, yeah, draw that. And they're like, okay. You know, it's also I had to like I remember I had to shave off 5 pages of the script, where there'd be like even things that you don't think about that are like kind of mundane that you'd be like, yeah, that's gonna add to the budget. That's gonna be too
Oh,
difficult.
definitely.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, like, oh man, we can't have that guy running down the street. It's too much. Meanwhile, in the comic, it's like, yeah, just have it like a World War III. There's explosions, same cost as the conversation scene in the next.
Oh yeah, and then like if you want someone running down you know, Times Square, just do it. If you want to do it in real life, yeah, you're gonna need a permit.
Oh yeah, New York, the whole
thing.
NYPD on
thing.
standby if you violate any of the 5 billion or SAG
Rules. Yeah.
afters
Yeah.
after. Oh my god, they're brutal. They're like There'll be like little indie productions that and they'll be like they'll treat them like they're violating human rights if they
Right.
just like give
Yeah.
them like food that's slightly undercooked or something. You know, it's crazy. I've worked on.
Congratulations on making a film, because I always say every single film is a minor miracle that it came together.
Oh yeah. Well, it was also I had to get through class. Would
Yeah.
be, you know, but yeah, no, it is true. Every film, there's always and I learned that similar thing with the comics. Things are bound to go wrong, but
Yeah.
Right.
film is different because there's more people involved, which you could think,
Yeah.
oh, that's more security, or also more mistakes.
Mhm.
You know, you look at and that's why one of the things I was always like a guy who would think big budget ideas. You know, this idea I came up with when I was in 2nd grade. It was a much lesser version, and I would keep going and coming up with more, and I'd always have these big action ideas. And then as I was writing for film, I was like, dude, none of this is doable right now.
No.
And I'd have to go through a system. And then with comics, I was like, I can own it. And the thing is, all that's great, but there are comics you could tell that are written by really people who are screenwriters that don't love comics. I love comics, right? Like I'm a huge comic fan. Like at first I was like, oh, I always want to see this as film. And now I love it so much as a comic. Like, yeah, I could turn it into that later, but if it doesn't, it's a comic, you know, and I'm proud to, and I'm writing it as a comic and creating it as a comic. If it becomes out later, I want to control it, you know, make sure they don't mess it up.
Exactly.
I'm content with just having a hit comic.
That's why I like comics. Like you can control it and do your own thing.
Mhm.
And if you want to like kill off the main character, you can do that. You can't do that on like a TV show where they're counting on sales for the T-shirts and the lunchboxes and whatnot. Like you can't just like say, you know what, I'm gonna kill off Spider-Man because I'm working at Marvel. You can't do that. In my book, if I want to, I can.
Yeah.
It may not be in my best interest, but just having that control and not having to clear it with anybody is.
See, I think that it's like where there's stuff like that you gotta. It's also being careful because I think there is a good ways to go about stuff like that. But I think also like there was this movie I was watching, Terrifier. Now I watched Terrifier 2 first. I don't know if it's messed up. It's a slasher movie, but the first, well, all right, maybe I shouldn't have stated the movie first because now if I say this, it's a spoiler. So maybe I should. All right, there's a film that shall not be named. Wherein they just for shock value kill off the main character halfway through, and you're like, oh. And while that's shocking in the moment, the rest of the movie, I'm like, oh wait, I don't really care about. So it's always a balance. But that being said, there's always ways you could do stuff well. And yeah, I could kill off any character, and that's why I was like, I should have fun with this. And that's one of the things I wanted this to be. A lot of modern superhero stories and their new stuff are very subversive in ways that they're like trying to say superheroes are bad or trying to say they're very deconstructive. And I always say my comic in an age of deconstruction is a reconstruction and a reconstitution of. I would really like dig deep and be like, why do I love superheroes so much, and just bring out like the beating heart. I always like getting to the core of an idea, and so that's kind of why I focused. Even though it is going to be a team book, I focused on my main character. And if you notice, he doesn't even have a full costume in this issue. He has a makeshift homemade costume. Is because I wanted it to like bring out the hero in him, like, and have him earn the right to be a hero. You know, like Peter, like most superheroes, you read these comics, and there is a reason for it. They get their costumes within issue 1. I wanted him to. He's going to earn it. He's going to mess up and he's going to earn it. And he's going to be on a team where he's the new guy, but you don't meet the team until a later issue. This one, I really wanted to focus on him, but, you know, even this cover, which is going to be colored. I mean, she knocked it out of the park. You have if you look at a lot of the best covers, typically the hero is losing, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a lightning ball in his hand too.
I gotta say, like, you know, it's a classic superhero cover because, you know, just look at that. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you're right. I don't think that comics do that anymore. I don't think comics just like I feel like they've gotten away and just what you're doing. You know, you're saying all this stuff. It's music to my ears because I'm getting tired of all these deconstruction of superheroes and, you know, and anti-heroes. And I'm like, come on, can't we just like have a regular superhero?
Yeah.
How gritty can we make it? How much can we make you hate the hero? Like,
yeah.
I want to love the hero. I want to cheer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you want it to be like?
I remember when I was a kid, we would be like, you know, like the McFarlane covers, like we'd be looking for like the little spider that he hit on the cover. That was fun. That fun is gone, man. It's like, oh.
Yeah, there's that. There's just like the raw.
What's going on now? Like, I don't know. That fun is, you know,
it's like heroes used to, you know, you want them to bring out the best of humanity and inspire people. And I think like even to the point where it's like, you know, I kept asking myself because I rewrote this so many times. And there was, I would keep coming back to the scene with bullies, and I was like, well, why am I why is this important? And it was because to show that the hero is in him all along, kind of, but also that how he deals with conflict before that translates to superheroes, but also showing that, you know, when people stand up to bullies and stuff, as corny as it sounds, like I remember I think of like superheroes, or like, you know, I think people pull from these in their everyday lives, whether they realize it or not, like they kind of speak to our better angels. Superheroes, and I really wanted to harken back. And I think if you scroll down, you'll see like I wanted to really make the heroes that fought in World War III idealistic to the point where initially the guy in the center was going to be like my own Superman, and then I was like, how many of those are we going to have? Everyone, like every universe has their Superman clone, and so I made him a knight in shining armor with like golden angel wings, and he's got a hammer.
Wow.
And which much better than because someone had pushed me to be more creative. And that's another thing too. I had someone had told me to do something more creative with my world, and then I thought of post World War III. So, you know, when I'd get these pushes, it would lead me to good places.
Actually, it's a great idea. I know a lot of people have done something similar, but at the same time, you don't see it a lot. You don't see post World War III a lot. You see a lot of post World War II, you know, even post World War One. And you know, I feel like people stay in those areas, but I think they avoid, you know, this type of story. They usually do apocalyptic stories, which is after something else.
Yeah. That's why I think people were so surprised when it was like when I announced it, and then because a lot of people assume this is a post-apocalyptic story. It's not, because the heroes were able to prevent it from becoming an apocalyptic event. And
I like that. I feel like you have actually got an explanation. You're able to stop World War III from being what it was supposed to be, and that's why, you know, now you have a post World War III story. I like that.
Yeah, and so that's why as I was coming up with that backdrop, I was like, this is a story. World War. As I was writing out the history and coming up with the characters that fought in the war, I was like, this is a story. This has to be a prequel. Like I'm basically writing it anyway. So I do want to make a prequel called Crusader Corps that will follow those characters. That's not all of them, but that's just some of the heroes that fought during World War III. You know, the world's a big place. But I'm gonna definitely do that. But one of the heroes in that picture that I won't spoil is gonna train the team in the present.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I really wanted to do. And the main character calls himself Galvanite, and obviously is inspired by the Knight character, which is Golden Gallant. So yeah, I really wanted to make them like, okay, they prevented World War III. Now this kid has an impossible standard to live up to, and he may never reach it. He probably never will, but it's the ideal to strive toward is still noble and worth it. And I think I really wanted to drive that idea home.
Those colors are amazing, man. You can feel the sun. Like, wow, like that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Colorist, I spent so much time making sure I got the perfect artist and then the perfect colorist, and I'm so glad.
You can tell. You can see it. You can see that you actually were passionate about this. You looks like you got exactly what you wanted, and it's all showing it off.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes people phone it in.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they do.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. You got a video too, right?
Yeah. So if you scroll up to the top. Yeah. Don't bother watching I did. People would be telling me that, Vaughn, I don't understand how to back. I'm like, I have made multiple videos with backer tutorial.
Dude, I told you I liked the video you made explaining it because that's how I was able to find this. Then I was like, okay, now that I found it, I can take the little thing and just put it on the side. The same thing I did over there. I put it over here in the messages so you guys don't have to go looking for it like I did.
Yeah.
You just press the link in the comments and you go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you mean, which video? Because I've done a few. Is it the short? Was it the short one or was it the long?
Oh, it's one of the ones explaining how, I'm not sure how, if it was short or long, but it was you actually explaining how you can go find this at Fund My Comic,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, should I put that one on the campaign page?
I think if you're on the campaign page, you don't need it.
You've already found it.
Okay, all right. That's a good point. Yeah. Hey, while you're here, but there are people that have. You say that, but dude, the hardest part has been explaining crowd. I've had people say I've had days I've been working on this. I'm like, I have one friend that donated $20, and I'm like, you didn't get the comic. I'm like, do you want it? He's like, and no response. I'm like, dude, I'm trying not to just take your money with no. Do you want it? Still hasn't gotten an answer from him. I'm like, I will call you and walk you through
I've still got books and T-shirts and stuff in bags ready to ship from 6 years ago.
Wow.
That they just can't even get into that campaign anymore to check the backer reports.
Wow. Yeah.
But if they ever hit me up, I got your stuff. It's sitting there.
Kickstarter, I think, has that problem. I think where Kickstarter, you have to wait. I'm going to use Kickstarter anyway, but like I don't, because it has the biggest audience, but I don't love it. Cool memes that say buy my. I should do that. Graham Nolan is very good at that. He'll have characters like, he'll be like you're a real man. I should do that. That's why I had on the cover, witness the birth of a new phenomenon. It's like, you don't want to miss out on that, because old comics used to do that. They used to be very obnoxious in your face, but you know what? Look at those sales numbers. And even though I'm reading them in trades, I'm still like, I want to reach off the shelf. Like, I'm excited to read it.
You're reading them in trades because they were so big back then. People want them now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm more likely to find trades of comic that came out like 40 years ago, I feel like, than most that come out like now. Or like even just flipping at a random thing. A book length super thriller, or that's not true. That's objectively not true. This is not a book length super thriller. This is like 20 pages. And it's
they used to comics used to do that like fantastic.
Even this Spider-Man faces most powerful foe. This is like his third villain.
Exactly.
Dr. Octopus. Okay. It's really, I mean, he's fought like maybe 2 villains before that. So, but it doesn't matter. They still ham it up. And every time it's the best villain ever. Every time.
Stan Lee.
That's what makes it fun, man.
Yeah. And I'm not knocking it.
That's my favorite part about it, man. That's why I do my book the way I do.
Comics are supposed to be fun and uplifting.
Wait till you see Fish's videos.
Yeah. The first time the villain appears, they're a threat, and then after a while, they're the whole team, the Sinister Six. Spider-Man takes it all out.
Let's show off your video. Here we go.
When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines. And they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born. And with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenal. For you, Dad. For you.
That was great.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to put my filmmaking degree to work, so.
You know what? This gives me the feeling of those DC comics from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Where you had the all that history that DC had. With the World War II stuff. It just has that epic feel to it.
Thank you. That's what I was going for. Yeah, I wanted to infuse that epic feel because it was trying to find a way to infuse that epic feel into what is essentially a high school coming of age superhero story. Like somehow making a makeshift costume, but I think by giving him this legacy, because I had to rewrite this over and over again, and I felt that by him carrying on a legacy, that ultimately added more weight to his character. Yeah. His adventures, because before that it was like people would ask me like, well, why do I care? And obviously you got to make the character good, but I also felt like let's add a little something, and I hope it comes across. My only fear was I'm almost afraid that like people will like the World War III stuff more than the present action, but people seem to like the present. But I will do the World War III stuff as well, like when there's enough demand for it.
Well, see, that's the good thing. Like, I feel like you have something here, and the good thing is that when people want to see a flashback, when people want to see what happened before, but they're interested in the story now, and I think that's what you have.
That's good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I'm really impressed that you were willing to rewrite the story because too many people are like, "Oh, I got it down. It's my precious baby. I can't change it." Like, no, it's still clay. You can smash it and reform it and do it over and over.
There was a lot. There was maybe two. I don't think I'm ever going to revise a script this much ever again. Oh my God. But there was a point where I had like a mental break. I was like, I gotta just publish it at this point. But that was after many rewrites and I finally got it. And I'm like, this is it. We're going forward. And whatever mistakes I can, because the first issue, if it's my best issue, it's my last issue. You know what I mean? Or it's or I've never improved. And I certainly hope I already know I'm a better creator by the end of this because I will have made every mistake.
Oh man.
No one's first book is their best, right? Unless you're like who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird? Like Harper Lee? Okay, maybe her, but like outside of that,
But even Harper Lee didn't think that was her best book.
Really?
Yeah, I always say you got to be willing to suck because everybody's first book sucks a little in some way. Like you got to be willing to make those mistakes.
Yep.
And you will never forget them. Like when they hit print and it's out there for the world, you will never forget it, and you probably won't make that mistake again. You'll make all brand new.
Especially if they're, which I'm obviously open to. Criticism is important, right? Like, hey, especially if it's someone who's like, I like this, I didn't like this. That's important. That's very important, right? I remember even like I'd send artwork to people like that double page spread. Really, people. By the way, if it hits 15K, everyone gets that image with the fire dragon.
Dude, that is a beautiful image.
Yeah, when I posted that, my sign up list went up. Everyone will get that as a mini print if I hit 15K. So,
wow, awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah. So if you guys want that, make sure you get it. But yeah.
That's a good incentive.
Yeah, I like to incentivize every action, Especially
I
because
gotta
people are
say,
backing a creator that's unproven in a comic that doesn't exist
yeah,
yet. I mean,
I
it's
gotta say,
mostly done.
you shared this with me, and I was like, wow. I had to stop
Yeah.
for a minute and look at it. Look at it for a
Yeah.
minute, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, that was one of those things where I was rewriting my description for the millionth time of this thing, just the description. And I'm like, I told him, like, hold off on doing the thumbnail. I know you're about to. Let me revise this. And by the time I finish revising it, I go to send him the message, and I see he's already sent me just the thumbnail. And I'm like, dude, don't even worry about what I just wrote. I spent like 2 hours like writing this thing. I'm like, don't even that's so much better. I'm like embarrassed of what I just don't even. It was so much cooler than when I had him
man,
on.
he made a comment on my book on my first Kickstarter for Caw, and it's in my pitch every freaking time now. Every time I use it, I use that line because it's epic.
Yeah. But it's been a lot of learning. I'm glad I made a lot of my mistakes before, because I remember I had my artist selected, but I was like, I'm not gonna fully hire him until I'm giving him a script that I know is worthy of his time. He liked the script, but I was like, there's room for improvement. And I'd had so many people read my script and give me feedback. God bless all of them. Yeah, so really good stuff.
I gotta say, I think you got something here. Let's talk a little bit about the what you're using here, because I know it's a new platform.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people are looking for places to go, because Kickstarter is Kickstarter. It works, it does its thing. Indiegogo is Indiegogo, but I still feel like there's more room for competition.
Yes, there
and
is.
I think you did a great job at finding a place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, one of the best things about Fund My Comic is the fact that if I have literally any questions right now, I can just DM the guy who owns the site and I'd be like, yeah, I can do this for you. Yeah, whatever. I can't figure this out. Okay. He's on top of things. Whereas I've heard because I think when I was deciding, it was like, I'm not saying I won't use either, but it was like almost like using the lesser two evils. Like Indiegogo shadow bans people a lot. Their algorithm. Graham Nolan had launched a campaign, and then one day later, I just searched Graham Nolan in the search bar to find it, and then it brings up campaigns from like 5 years ago and not his newest. And I'm like, that's not helpful.
I've seen that enough times.
And Kickstarter, I hate that. I want to back a book, and I don't want to think about it unless I either get the updates or until it arrives at my door. But in Kickstarter.
I've had that issue on Kickstarter also, where I'm looking for the current campaign and it brings me something up 5 years ago. That happened there too.
Yeah, I mean, in Kickstarter, what it also does that drives me crazy is I have to go back in and put my information. I want to give you the information. I sent you the money now. Let me give you my information now. And if it funds, it funds. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Exactly.
I don't understand why they insist on it, because people lose money on that feature a lot. Even Jimmy Palmiotti was like, yeah, I just had all these people back these tiers, and then when the time came, they didn't give information. It happens.
Oh, it definitely happens. Like we were talking about in the green room. So you stay with all this stuff, or was it a couple minutes ago? You stay with all the stuff. You're waiting for people to get back to you. They do that survey, and a lot of people don't go back to check the survey.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Welcome, audience, to the green room, because that was on the show.
They just don't fill it out. They don't answer it, or to me, the part that always drove me nuts on Kickstarter is the getting charged at the end. I like the you don't get charged unless it backs, but the hitting at the end almost always hits at the end of the month, when I was absolutely broke before and didn't have any money. So I got the money right now to back your campaign, but I couldn't promise something wasn't going to come up between now and the end of the month. So a lot of times I just wouldn't back them, or I'd have to drop out at the end, like some people have to do. And I ended up getting a small credit card that just has my budget for Kickstarter on it. And that way it come out whenever it needs to, and I pay it off every month. I don't have to worry.
See, that's a great idea. I did the same thing because I got tired of it showing up at the wrong time. And then you have to fix it before it messes it up completely. And if you're not paying attention, then you lose the whole whatever you were trying to fund it. Or I've had it once or twice where they don't like your information, they don't have your information. Something happens, and there's a disconnect, and all of a sudden I don't have the project. I didn't get a chance to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It can be frustrating.
That's definite. Folks, crowdfunding is not for the soft-hearted folks.
It is not.
That I've learned. Not even done yet, but
And Kickstarter's been tough on everybody lately. Even seasoned vets have been having a tough time on
Yeah.
it lately. Guys I'm used to seeing going several thousand over goal have just been squeaking by. And, seeing what you're getting on Fund My Comic, which has to say a lot about you and how you've been running the campaign.
I agree.
Up until like that says a lot about your pregame on this.
oh yeah, I
But
was
still,
very
that's great
aggressive.
results.
I had like almost 600 signups before I launched.
Oh, that's
Only for
beautiful.
a lot of them to be like, "Oh, when am I getting the comic? I signed up." I'm like, "That's
So many people don't understand. I had
No.
the first time around. I
like
had to do so many
I
videos
will
just
give
how it
full
works
explanations on the page and everything, and they're still like, "So I'm getting the free trading card." And I'm like, "Well, you have to buy it," and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "You can get it now." I don't think they get it.
No.
I don't think they understand, which is fine.
No.
When it's on my website, I will make a website. Then it'll be easier.
I think everyone has that problem. It's just humanity. I don't know.
Probably.
I mean, I hear those stories a lot on Kickstarters where people they'll have to make videos constantly saying the same thing. Look, this is what you're gonna get your stuff.
Look, you don't have to wait until you get paid. That's not how Kickstarter works. It's going to take it out on this date. So if you have money on this date, that's what matters, and that's frustrating. I wish you could just be like, give Kickstarter my money now. They give it to the creator if it funds, or they put it back on my card or in my account or something. But
yeah.
Speaking of which, since we're talking about Kickstarter, you might
speaking
as well tell the people who you are, Fish.
I am Mr. Fish from Mr. Fish Comics Fest, working man in indie comics. I have worked on over 85 books since 2019. I've helped raise over $135,000 for my clients, and I am the writer and creator of many different series of my own right now. And one of them is the Mighty Caw, the Cro-Magnon, which is, like my buddy here said the first time I was on, it's like an R-rated Saturday morning cartoons.
It definitely is, man. It looks like a Saturday morning cartoon, but it's definitely art-rated.
It is.
Oh,
so
is
much
it?
fun.
Okay.
It is.
I wasn't sure.
It's not really bad, but it is very violent. There's a lot of people with their heads turned the wrong way, and a lot of people's insides on the outside. And he's the deadliest warrior in the galaxy, and he shows that off a lot. And he doesn't really have any other marketable skills. In like the first two pages, he accidentally leads a slave rebellion. The leaders of his planet can't beat him and can't kill him, so they put out a bounty for anybody that'll just get him off planet. And some alien space slavers grab him, take him off world, and then he breaks free, and hilarity and chaos and carnage ensues. And the first two issues, he kills his way through hyperspace on the ship, fights the hellhounds of hyperspace, crashes the ship on the lost world and the end of the galaxy. And then the third issue is he finds out that world's not as uninhabited as he thought it was, and meets an amazing new character based on my daughters. And then the fourth issue, they are besieged by serpent soldiers, and it's just like, it's Saturday morning cartoons. It's like, when we last saw our hero, he was being chased by the hellhounds of hyperspace, and he kills the monsters and he slaughters everybody. And and then it's like, oh no, he just got shipwrecked on a lost planet. Will he survive? Tune in next month. And that's what it is. It's nothing more than that. It's just action-packed fun. It is so much freaking fun to write, and it is so much fun to draw. Oh my God, I love it so much. I did not expect to enjoy it as much when I woke up from a nap spontaneously with this idea in my head one day, laughing at the pun.
Do you think it's because it kind of reminds you of the Saturday morning cartoons? Because
it totally is. It's like Flash Gordon meets He-Man by way of Thundercats. It's really just, it's so much fun and just so much badassery and savagery and just I love it. It's so cool.
As you can see here, a little from some of the preview pages we're showing.
It's got a very distinct look. I really like it. Yeah, again, because I was like, I saw the axe, but I also saw the style. So I was like, is it violent? Well, there's my answer.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Looks great.
That poor guy lost his head. But, these things happen in outer space. And it is, a lot of people were kind of confused the first time around. They thought it was just going to be like swords and sorcery barbarian, and
Yeah, that's what I
it's
assumed.
very much sci-fi too. I mean, like he
Oh,
is
okay.
from another planet. He travels through outer space and gets crash land on this other planet, and there's all kinds of stuff, cool stuff's happening. The big bad guy that gets introduced in issue 3 is he's like a high tech mix between Lex Luthor and Dr. Manhattan, who was a supervillain like in the old world and still is alive and now rules the planet. And now Kaw has come to wreak havoc. And we just unlocked today the 2 variant covers that I was trying to get loaded up as add-ons before the show started. Both of them done by Seth the Moose. That's one of them that's available as a poster, but it's also the variant cover for issue 3. And then there's the cover for issue 4, which I sent you in our message on Instagram, but I don't know if you can get to it from here.
That's a good question. We'll find out. And if I can get to it, we'll see it sometime. This is your other book too, right?
Yeah, that's Green Zone Life in the Blocks, which is another series that I do following a group of mutant cops and trying to earn their citizenship in a world where it's illegal to have superpowers. And then I've also got Fishtails, which is an anthology that just lets me tell all kinds of cool stories. Like the issue that is shipping out to my Patreon backers here in a few days has a short story from the world of Kaw and a short story from Green Zone that shows like other stuff that's going on in that world besides just, the characters we're following in Green Zone. And then there's T-Man and Hyperstrike, which was my first book I did about a superhero team with Tourette syndrome and ADHD like I grew up with. And it is absolutely kid friendly and aimed at like helping kids growing up like me find the hero in themselves and stand up to bullies and, focus on all the things that make us awesome before the world, beats you down, telling you that you're a freak.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say,
I am a little bit of a freak, but that's how I worked on 85 books in 5 years. Most people
85.
can't do that
Wow.
because their brain's not jacked up like
So you're a writer? Or
I'm the writer. Most of the time, I'm the writer, the penciler, the letterer, the inker, the colorist, and everything but the edits. You send me a script, I send you a finished book ready to go to print.
Yep.
You worked on, but like you didn't. I assume you didn't do all of that for all.
Most of them I didn't write. I think I'm at 13 books of my own now that I've done in the last 2 years, around doing everybody else's books. But
how have I not heard of you? All right, we got to get in touch. Jeez.
I joke. I work on. I make books nobody reads. I do all like small press indie, Kickstarter books, and a lot of the guys have gone on to doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But I like to. I need to start telling my own stories too. So that's why I moved over to doing this, and I started a Patreon when I launched Kaw, and do it as a subscription service. So you can sign up for like right now as little as $10 a month, get a physical book shipped to you every month, and which is a crazy deal. And I've shipped out 12. I'm about to ship out my 12th book in 11 months. Everybody thought it was crazy and there's no way you can do a book a month, but I'm fast and cost short. It's a short, fun, action-packed book. It's not, a 64-page tome. It's got puzzles and all kinds of fun stuff in there. And like at one point he gets shot through all these treetops at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And so there's a whole puzzle, like finding all the sounds that he makes as he goes crashing through the trees. And, oh man, there's so much fun stuff in here that I like doing that stuff. I find it funny and it brings me joy.
It's funny. He said it looks great for kids, but it's not for kids.
Oh, that's not for kids?
No, this is totally for adults. Like the one I just got done on issue 4, polishing off a double-page spread maze that takes you all the way through hyperspace and goes past some of the other kingdoms and little throwbacks to some of the other stuff. And it's fun. I miss letter columns and I miss fan art and I miss all that stuff.
I doing a fan art contest for my book. I forgot. I'm terrible at promoting it, and still people are sending beautiful art. So God bless the people that get through my terrible promotion of that. And still, which by the way, people have to learn to pronounce. They have to spell the name of my comic, and then fan art, and then just use that as hashtag, and you're there. Tag me is also the easiest way to see it. But yeah, I mean, the fan art is so good because it's just it gives people a chance to get their stuff out there. It's such a good idea. But yeah, I mean, I just love it. Rated
It's
R,
like PG-13. I mean, like there's some blood and guts and stuff, but not
some of it.
Like it's not a whole lot of entrails and stuff. Like I'm trying to find this one scene. Like right there is probably about one of the goriest scenes where dude's holding his guts.
That's pretty. I don't think I saw that in any PG-13 movies going on.
Well, I mean, like the whole reason for PG-13 was them pulling dude's heart out in,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Why did I not know that? I've seen that movie.
That was
like
a
how many
PG
times?
movie, and then they pulled home dude's beating heart out.
Yep.
And so I always kind of use that as my guidepost of like,
See, but why? How is that worse than Jaws? Jaws went way harder than that, in my opinion. I mean, there was severed legs.
I completely agree.
Like Jaws, I was rewatching that,
there
and
wasn't
I was
a
like,
PG-13 when Jaws came out. Like there
That's
was
true.
Jaws rated R. It was
no,
rated
Jaws
R,
is
right?
PG, which is why I would always tell other kids, I'd be like,
PG,
guys, you can
okay.
watch it. My parents would be like, I can't watch PG-13. I'd be like, Jaws is PG. And the parents would always be like, well, that was a different time. And
like,
I'm like, come on.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is why we
I
have
mean,
PG-13.
sometimes movies are worse when there are parts that exist in your head, and then when you it's like Psycho, just that scene with the knife.
Yeah, you don't see
Blair Witch was absolutely terrifying.
And when in your
Can
brain,
I be honest? I thought Blair
Witch they could do, like
the dude standing in the corner, and it was terrifying.
Yeah,
I'm a huge horror movie guy. I thought Blair Witch Project was so boring.
Yeah,
I thought it, and
I mean, but also you're a different generation too.
I understand that, but like my favorite horror movie is the original Halloween, right? Like I don't know if it's that. I think it's just I was like the whole movie. It's just like Jacob, where's the map? And I'm like, all right, are we really doing this for 20 minutes?
Dude.
Like they're looking for the map, and I get it that it's supposed to be like things are going wrong.
Exactly.
But I just
have a problem with that type of film, man.
Honestly, it made me nauseous. So that's why.
Oh yeah.
That's why you were scared. You didn't want to. You were afraid you're going to throw up.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to throw up because it was scary.
Okay, so
I got to do some horror comics. I feel like that's something that needs to come back.
Yeah.
I say that as if I have any nostalgia
a lot of
connection.
horror comics, though. Especially, we got a lot of people who come in with the horror comics. Independents have brought back horror comics.
Yeah.
I got to do something, whether it's a movie or a comic or both, on the Jersey Devil. Because I'm from New Jersey, and I'm like, dude, why do I feel like I'm not? It sounds like a weird thing to complain about, but I feel like I wasn't scared enough of the Jersey Devil growing up. Like I learned about it around a campfire in the woods in New Jersey, actually, so it was perfect. But then I think about him for a while, but like I was never like actually like, oh, it's gonna attack me. Well, okay, maybe during that camping trip, because during that camping trip, we had confirmation bias. We'd see like a slight movement, be like, "That's a Jersey Devil." I was like, no,
oh man,
that's
any
a squirrel.
stick in the woods
That's
is
like
Bigfoot. Like,
that's like a rustling, and there's just like a slight draft, and it's like it's him. No,
This is Jersey Devil.
no.
All right, so
I always wanted to do something with the Falcon
about what we got PG-13. Go ahead, Mr. Fish. Explain PG-13 how we got.
Okay. Before the days of PG-13, we had G for everybody, we had parental guidance, and then we had rated R and rated X. Mm-hmm. And so, like, a lot of stuff like Jaws made it into PG because it wasn't bad enough to rated R, which would basically cut it off to a whole lot of people would never see it. Like, back then, rated R was you might as well be going to see a rated X movie. Like, people are going to be looking at you cross-eyed as you go through it. It's not like it is now where it's the standard for everything. Mm-hmm. And then Indiana Jones and the Temple of Lost. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I'm mixing them together.
Which one?
Where he reached into home dude's chest and pulled out his live beating heart, and then they drop him in the lava pit alive, and his heart burst into flames as it's thumping in home dude's hand. And parents freaked out at that. Why is a kid watching this? That's way too violent. But there was only the two categories, and it didn't go far enough to fall into that one. So, and this was in the days of, them censoring all the cartoons and everything.
Yeah.
And the whole landscape was changing. And, they were trying to get rid of all the 30-minute commercials of cartoons that we loved, like He-Man and G.I. Joe, that were just selling us toys. And
Oh yeah.
so they got all upset and they made PG-13, and then everything got kicked over to that. And now nobody even cares at rated R. Parents take their kids to rated R movies all the time.
My mom was pretty. I remember I was watching Predator for the first time in high school, and like I wasn't allowed to watch rated R until I was like in 8th grade, and I had to like beg my mom. I don't know. But I was in watching Predator with my friends, and they were like, "Oh, this is the part where this happens." Like, guys, don't spoil it. Not everyone here has seen it. And my friends go, "Have you seen it? Yeah. Have you seen it? Yeah. Have you seen it?" I'm like, "Am I the only one that hasn't seen this movie?" Yeah. Like there was like 5 of us, and I was like, "Oh yeah, not everyone. Everyone else but me had seen Predator many times."
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when me and Fish were growing up, because
oh man,
we saw everything.
I went to go see it all the time, but like I would get like a ticket for Care Bears or whatever, and then just walk over there and go watch it. Like
because they said it was rated R or something, but they still let you.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and that was back in the days when I would go buy like one movie ticket in the morning, and then just go from theater to theater all day watching whatever I wanted all day.
We used to have a theater like that, not anymore.
You're
across me too. You just see one movie and see like 6 movies.
Definitely. You're a correct student. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 was a big thing, and it got in trouble for a bunch of things.
I remember like there was a complaint about Splinter throwing a book at a turtle. Like what?
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 Yeah.
I got worse things than books thrown at me. You know? I mean,
as a kid, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I've never read the original TMNT #1, but listen, they can complain about it all they want. I didn't know there was controversy, but how many printings did that book have to get? Like,
oh yeah, tons and tons. But the whole thing was that the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, everybody remembers the cartoon and all that. That stuff. The originals black and white,
violent, right? And they all had red masks.
Yeah, they killed
Shredder in issue 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Return of the Shredder is what the movie's based on, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. He was a much cooler bad guy for the cartoon and had an awesome look, but like they weren't thinking that when they made this comic book that they didn't think anybody was going to read, and they just killed off the bad guy and planned on doing another one. And
he fell off the roof.
Went on to become a worldwide icon.
He came back though. He came back. You know, it's comics. But originally he was supposed to stay dead. Yeah.
I'm going to show off Mr. Fish's video here because I think you did a great job with this.
Chaos and carnage, baby. Are you ready for what's coming in the Mighty Caw issues 1 through 4? Hey there, it's Mr. Fish from Mr. Fish Comics, the fastest working man in indie comics. I've worked on over 80 books since 2019 and helped my clients raise over $130,000 on crank stoppers like this one right here. And we're launching a brand new Kickstarter, baby, for the Mighty Caw ongoing series, issues 1 through 4. This science fantasy fiction story follows the mighty bird barbarian, the savage from beyond the stars, the Mighty Caw, the Cro-Magnon. Once an arena slave fighting every day of his life for survival for the entertainment of the masses on the planet Zion, where all species are evolved from different types of birds, and the mighty, big, powerful Cro-Magnons are kept as slaves. The Mighty Caw has been fighting since he was a mere fledgling thrown into the arena. We get to see him rise to impromptu slave rebellion leader. We see him captured by space pirates who traveled across space. We see him hunted by the hellhounds of hyperspace in issue 2. In issue 3, we find him crash land on a lost planet in the outer reaches of outer space. And in issue 4, we find him and the warrior guests surrounded and besieged by serpent soldiers. Are you ready for this hyper-violent love letter to Saturday morning cartoons, baby? Well, if you are, buckle up, brother, because it's coming your way. When the funds come in, the order goes out, and the books will be printed. They will be shipped out to your hot little hands. You can get all 4 issues of the Mighty Caw, issues 1 through 4. You can get just the 2 new issues, issue 3 and 4. You can get the Savage Source book, which will give you all the amazing behind-the-scenes information. Do you want to know what the planet's like that he comes from? Do you want to know about the angelic council that rules it with a cybernetic iron fist? Do you want to know why he ended up in the arena as a mere fledgling? Do you want to know where he got his name? I don't think you're ready, brother, because it'll make you cry. If you think you're tough enough to step in the ring with the mighty Claw, if you think you're ready to join the rebellion and fight off the shackles of the Angelic Council, then give us a back. There is a tier for everybody and every budget, brother. You can get the digital comics, you can get the physical, you can get the swag packs that are going to get you custom t-shirts put down by your Uncle Fish, custom high-quality DTFs, put on custom high-quality shirts bought just for you in sizes that you want. Manufacturer may vary depending on size, but let me tell you something, brother. I'm only doing shirts that I'd be willing to wear, so you can count on it. Big men, unite! You can get shirts in your size now, brother, and you're going to get quality, not something that washes out on the first wash. I've been wearing these shirts for months, and they still look great, and I still look dazzling, baby. So jump on board. Now's the time. Sink your claws into the mighty Claw.
That's so good, dude. Wow, what that energy. I gotta get you on my show, Fish. Can't believe I haven't heard of you. We'll have to follow each other.
I'll be on there anytime, man. I am pitching, trying to get this
That's
thing.
Good.
You know, man, that laser beam sound, it was like something out of like Thunder or Super Friends.
Yeah, it's out of everything because it's the same sound effect on it.
Yeah, I know. They gave me a flashback.
Star
Like,
Trek and Thunder and He-Man and everything. I love that song.
You know, Fish, I can tell that me and you grew up on the same thing because I can see we do the videos the same way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was fantastic. I saw it. It put a smile on my face. It reminded me of wrestling. It reminded me of Saturday mornings. It reminded me of old comics.
I did a whole series of those videos for my TikTok feed. And usually my TikToks do really great. Nerfed all of them. I got like 90 views tops on any of them that I did. I killed my voice doing that all day to film TikToks.
Oh, believe me, I feel you, brother.
My wife comes home and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I was doing videos." And she's like, "You were doing the voice, weren't you?" I was like, "I was."
Dude, I've sat there and done a bunch of TikToks just to like get the show and all the stuff happening, and I know exactly what you're talking about. At the end of it, you're like, "I'm tired. My voice hurts."
No, dude, I did a video essay. I'm like, oh, it won't take that long, even though it's 49 pages. And it was like, because I'm like, oh, I can have the enthusiasm. And I would have, it took me like so many, like, I would do it over the course of weeks. Because I like now when you watch the video, I'm consistent energy the whole time. But there's so many takes. I'm like, and then there's a.
Oh man, I gotta do an outtake video because it is so funny to watch me go in from, "Hey brother, it's your Uncle Fish," and then I'm dead as I'm like, you know.
Yeah, I'm because I was watching that. I was like,
and let me tell you something, and then I'm dead.
I was watching the cuts like as an editor because I'm like,
oh yeah,
I know your tricks. I know your dirty.
I've got to do it because like I had to freestyle the whole thing for that. Because I did a scripted video and, you know, I was trying to hit all these points and everything. And it was all like, "Hello, I'm Fish." You know, it was very drab when I went back to watch it. And I was like, you know what? I'm pulling out the shades. I'm just going to do it. And so, yeah.
I agree with you. Every time I try to script it, it turns into something else.
I like having an outline.
Had like a page turning effect.
The shades help too because then I can force my head at the camera and I can look over here at a script and nobody can tell.
That's a great idea, man. I got to get myself some written Rick glasses.
I'm telling you, man. And like I had some that said the Macho Fish from when I was doing a campaign for my buddies, and I did like the fringe and would tape up my fingers and do the whole Macho Man routine. And I was like, you know, if I'm writing on the glasses anyway, I might as well put the website on there so everybody can go check it out at gomrfish.com.
That's a great idea.
And go back it right now. And then I forgot him when I went to C2E2.
Luke Stone is made. I've been on Luke's show twice. Luke Stone is a good guy. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, fun. Even just dropping your books on Fun My Comic. I mean, obviously focus on the. I know just focusing on one campaign is a lot to start with, but eventually, even just dropping it on there with a low stretch goal after you've already made X amount it's a good idea. Like let's say you have like the minimal goal, right? And then just if just enough people get it, if even it's just like a few people that wouldn't have seen it otherwise, that's part of why I'm doing okay. I made 10K on this platform, but you want to cast those wide a net as possible. And then even then, crowdfunding is not. I don't think crowdfunding should be seen as the end game. I think it's it's almost like there's almost like a pre-promo before pre-promo. It's never ending, which is why I was like,
build an audience that's going to come back for your stuff because the people that are where I want to be are the people that have been building that email list and building that connection with their fans. And, they started out with 60 people back in their books, and then 100, and then 200 and 300. And now they have 1,000 people coming back every time back in their books. That's where I want to get. I want to build that audience that is coming back for my stuff. If you want to come back in on Patreon cheaper and get something every month, you can do that. That's absolutely available. What is up, Papa Bear? Good to see you.
Oh,
man.
Patreon too. Yeah, it's as many avenues as I can. It's just I feel like this is to get it. This is like the people who got it before it was cool. Well, before it existed, I guess. But you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, like Patreon.
The whole goal is to get to the convention circuit.
They get all the extra stuff.
Where you sell more books.
And I asked a lot. I wish stores would take chances on new IPs more. I really do. The thing is, people will say, "Oh, well, it doesn't sell that well," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, neither." I've been seeing a lot of those Marvel and DC books. They were there 6 months ago. You could tell. I don't think they're selling. I'm not. They probably listen. Even the crappiest Marvel book will probably sell better than my book for now because
just the way it is.
It just has the Marvel logo. Like even Squirrel Girl has her fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, there's only so many of us that actually go in looking for indie comics. And I ask every town I go to, every store I go to, I was like, do you have any indie comics? And I make a point of asking because I want them to know that I'm looking for them. And if I find them, I back them and I buy them. But, some places are really good about it. Some places are barely surviving selling comics at all.
That's why I like Royal Collectibles because we were just there for Free Comic Book Day, and they're great at getting all the indies into their store. They actually actively look for the indies. When you go into the store, you can find all the indies there. And they're good at if you're looking for an indie book, they'll try it hard to find it for you. Yeah, and I feel like you have to go in that direction. I feel like comic book stores just can't stay with Marvel and DC. They have to like broaden their horizons.
They do, and they have to also. We have to advertise people that aren't comic book stores, right?
Yeah.
Because news. Which funny, I said Squirrel Girl was funny enough because I'm pretty sure one of my cover artists worked on Squirrel Girl. She kept getting put on books that she wasn't like that interested in. And I guess Squirrel Girl. I think she was put on Squirrel. They kept putting her on the girly book. She was like, "Can I draw like violent stuff?" But yeah. That's what they do, the typecasting. Yeah. But yeah, I was going somewhere with that. But yeah, I mean, the people need to also, my understanding is comics used to not just be in comic stores. Like I found Spider-Man through like the movies on TV and then like Justice League, the show. That was just getting to me in my home. Or like, you'd see stuff in stores.
It used to be easy.
I had to seek out comics.
When I was a kid, if I was good at the doctor's office, my mom, we had to stop at the pharmacy anyway or whatever. I'd get a comic book and I would get like, McDonald's if I was really good.
Oh, that would have been cool.
It was just there and cheap. It was at all the grocery stores. It was at, any place that had magazines or anything would have comic books. You could get packs of, like 4 or 5 comic books like sealed up in plastic that were old issues that they would pack into one thing and you could get for like $2. And man,
if I could sell for that price, awesome. I would love to.
Yeah,
it was so great, and they were everywhere. So my mom would not go to a dark comic book store across town and wait in line for 2 hours while somebody argues who's tougher, the Thing or the Hulk, to pay $6 for a comic book. She wouldn't do that. Like it's no longer an easy throwaway thing to give your kid.
I got most of my comics from the newsstand.
That sounds like that's like a utopia to me. I had I remember I had to seek out comics.
Finding one that wasn't all bent up was tough, but you could find them everywhere. Like I bought the whole first series of Lobo at a pharmacy in my little small town, and it was crazy. You can't do that anymore.
No, not anymore.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's really nuts. Man, I mean, I wish I could have done. I had to look up like best Batman stories to read. Like top 10, and then Batman Hush was the one I chose. But
Hush is a great story.
Hush, hey, I mean,
no.
You don't think so?
It's great artwork. It's great artwork.
Hush is the worst part of Hush, I think. person.
The worst thing is leaving an introduction, giving them the opportunity to bring Jason Todd back to life. I think that's the biggest mistake that they ever made, man.
What, that they didn't bring him back, or that
They
They created the window to bring him back, and then later on somebody used it to bring Jason Todd back.
Oh, okay.
You know, the artwork was
Gotcha.
good. To me, it's a lot of talking heads, and it was like Loeb trying to be Bendis with all the talking heads at the end, and then the Scooby Doo mystery, the Riddler did it, and I love the artwork.
Bendis. I've actually never read any Bendis, believe it or not. I've been told that his Daredevil run is like,
yeah,
the Daredevil run for Bendis was decent.
I have Frank Miller's Daredevil run is really good.
Frank Miller's legendary.
Yeah, I did a video where I did what I think is the definitive reading order. Frank Miller's Daredevil.
That's very important, especially these days. Nobody knows anything anymore.
Oh, man.
So Vaughn, tell everybody about your book again, so we can get them over there.
Yeah. So Phenomenova, again, said 20 years after World War III, follows the idealistic son of a war hero who is struck by lightning while holding a mysterious crystal and finds himself awakening with lightning powers and lightning speed. And he decides he wants to use those powers to become a superhero when he finds out on TV that there is a heist going on at a nuclear reactor. And despite the warnings from his best friend and the police telling him, don't run in there, you don't know what you're doing, because he does it anyway. And he finds himself in way over his head. So I really wanted to harken back to superhero stories that I love, that are full of optimism and hope, but also have a character that has a lot of room to grow. And you will see him eventually become part of a team. My favorite run, I haven't mentioned it, is like Chris Claremont's X-Men run. I pulled from that. I pulled from Stan Lee's Spider-Man, New Teen Titans, shows like Young Justice, Spectacular Spider-Man. I pulled from all kinds of stuff that I loved, with a little personal stuff too. And just wanted to tell the best love letter to superheroes that I could. And from there, just keep it going. But starting with One Solid Story, 64 pages of story for just $20. 68 pages total. There is a fan art contest. The winner will be included in the book. So
nice. That's a lot of work. You're really working it, brother.
A lot of practice. That's the thing. I'm almost afraid that I'm more of a salesman than I am a writer.
Oh, no.
Hey, you gotta be a salesman.
Yeah.
I know.
You have to. But you're explaining your thing here. It sounds beautiful. It sounds well written. The story sounds great. I think you're going somewhere.
Yeah, I think so too. My whole thing was also, all right, now I got the sales thing down. But the thing is, if I'm like a snake oil salesman, they get the comic, and that's why I was like, I gotta keep rewriting, because the art's great, but it's like people were telling me that that writing better be good. I'm like, I'm in agreement with you on that. The writing better be good. So I hired editors. I got so many people, industry professionals, to be like, to even just give quick glances at stuff and be like, this isn't good. Like, for example, that double page spread of that guy doing the fire. So Graham Nolan did years of Hawk World, and he was like, that wing needs to be fixed. He's like, I know this because I drew so many Hawk people. You gotta do that. And I'm so blessed to have so many people, give me feedback. Just people who enter the indie scene are so helpful. It's really,
they are.
Rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all indies. We should be helping each other out. We should be, and like we say it here at Bit and Apple all the time, we raise each other up. We help each other. We're all going to the same place. We're not competition for each other. Marvel and DC are competition. We are just working this thing. And
the better your books do is freaking awesome, man.
Exactly.
I'm super happy for you guys and want them to succeed. And if we can help each other out and uplift each other and shout each other out, man, I am absolutely there to help do it. Because why would we not want to? Like, I've been teaming up with a friend of mine who just so happened to be running a campaign at the same time. So, like, we've done a campaign where if you back both our books at the physical tier, you get this free mini comic that's like a 16-page mini comic, like the old He-Man mini comics. Ooh. And like it has like a short story from him, and you flip it over and a short story from me. It's really cool. I'm super excited about it. It's super funny. It's just it's so much fun. And And he was like, man, why are you helping me out like this? Because I'm a nobody compared to you. I was like, dude, I would have given anything to have Uncle Fish in my corner that could have like told me how to set up a Kickstarter or like what things are worth investing in and what things probably aren't. And things like that, and help me walk through this and figure things out. I would have given anything for that. If I can help you out, absolutely, I'm going to help you out.
But Fish, that's why I love your videos, because you're actually out there helping people, teaching people what you're doing. And I love watching your videos because it's like watching Mr. Rogers as a heavy metal guy.
I try my best, man. I really do want to help people out. Like my whole Patreon, like the whole School of Fish thing is an art stream just to help you learn how to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And to help you polish your stuff up. Like there's a School of Fish tier. If you really want to like get better at this game, we can spend one-on-one time together. Like not only are you going to get a book every month and all that stuff, but like we're going to work on short stories together and help you hone your craft. And if you want to submit it to my anthology book and we publish it, you get rights to go straight to Kablam and print up as many copies as you want with your stories in it. I don't need a kickback. I don't need anything. I want to make it as easy for you to get your stories out there as possible. Because I remember like the first couple of times I got my stories in print were in like nothing little indie anthologies. But by the time they paid to get the books printed and then paid to ship to them, and they marked it up and then they paid to ship it to me, I couldn't afford to sell it at a con to make any money. Like I'd have liked to order 100 copies to take to shows of my first 2 books that I got published, but it would have cost me $10 to get a book I could sell for $5. That wouldn't have done me any good. So it wasn't worth it. So if I can cut out that middleman and you get an 8-page story done and it gets in a 32-page anthology book full of really cool stories and art, and you get your thing in there and you can take it to the shows, print up copies for $2 or whatever from Kablam and take them to your local show and see if you're any good at this. Maybe you're like Home Dude down here and you're a natural born salesman and you sell 10,000 copies of it.
Yep.
I'm not going to come calling at you like, hey, where's my money? I'm going to come calling and say, hey, I need you to come work for me. I need you to sell the rest of these for me. Please come on board. I want to hire you, not where's my check? Worst case, I'm out 50 cents a book or something on a kickback. I don't need that. If it helps somebody get their foot in the door and figure out if this is for them or not, I want to help them do that because it's hard. It's a hard biz. It really takes a lot out of you.
We see it all the time on the show. Yeah. So, Mr. Fish, tell the people. Go.
Man, this is the Mighty Caw, badass bird barbarian, savage from beyond the stars. He comes from a planet where everybody's evolved from birds and the Cro-Magnons are kept as slaves. He spent his entire life in the arena. He was sent in the arena as a fledgling for a crime that his parents committed, and he has had to fight every day of his life. He was expected to die the first day like everybody else in his brood did, but he managed to cut his way out of the belly of a lesser scrag and survived, and he's been fighting every day of his life ever since. It has forged him into the deadliest man in the galaxy. He became the hottest thing to watch on the holovids across the galaxy and across the whole avian empire. And then pretty soon the other Crow slaves are like, well, wait a minute. If he's the biggest and the baddest, like, why are we slaves? Why does he get to fly around the arena and we have to have our wings shackled? Those aren't the kind of questions you want your slaves asking.
No.
And so he ends up accidentally starting a slave rebellion. He breaks free. They go on a rampage, and then he gets captured by space pirates and traversed across the galaxy and hunted by the hellhounds of hyperspace, and then is shipwrecked on a lost planet at the end of the galaxy and is now in the 4th issue besieged by serpent men with a savage cave woman that's given him a run for his money. And it is so much freaking fun. It is just like violent, bloody. Like he is the epitome of like, if you hit me with the, I'm gonna rip your arm off and smack you with it. Like that is who he is, and he does several times.
He does, dude. I gotta say, like when I read the books, it just flies, man. You start reading and then you're finished and you're like, what happened?
That's good. That's a good trait to have.
It's fun. And like I said, I'm putting out a book every month on my Patreon. So, I'm keeping it short and tight. There's fun puzzles and games and things. And like I just for issue 4 turned, I don't know if you know the little square game where you get all little dots and you make a line. And if you close in a square, that game.
Yeah.
I turned it into slaughtering serpent men. So there's all these little snake heads, and like the more you kill, you get to claim all these kills, and and it's Kess versus Ka fighting to see who gets to kill the most of them in this game, and just make it fun. Like my buddy puts recipes and stuff in his for like roadkill desserts and stuff. Like it's just, why not make it fun again? I want every bit of it to be
Make comics fun again.
Exactly. And like I said, I just did a big double page maze that goes all throughout the galaxy and gives hints at other things that are going to be showing up and gives throwbacks to some of the things from the other books. And I'm going to end up doing a full-on printout of that for everybody that orders at the physical tier as well. So they'll have a flat version they can actually draw on and do the map if they want to, and not have to like try and tear up their book to do it. But
there you have it, folks. And let's see, one more thing. Let's show off, of course, our magnificent Meta Sorcier is working on her sacrimony. She's getting it ready to be out there live. Right now, it is on sign up to get notified. And of course, like we like to tell you here on Kickstarter, on our show, it's the best thing to do if you want to support a comic. Is to sign up to get notified. It's free. You sign up to get notified. It puts the comic in a better place in the algorithm. And then the comic starts off in a good place when it starts off. We are doing good with her. She's at 108 followers right now. We can get her to 200. Come on, folks. And you heard Mata herself say that if you guys get her to 200 and to 250, that she will do a Kickstarter nice little kickoff type of thing. A stretch go, a pre-stretch go. So if you get her to 200, she will give you a pre-stretch go. And of course, Mata's covers are magnificent. So, you really want to help her out. Of course, she does everything herself, just like our friend here, Mr. Fish. He is the writer, the artist, the inker, the colorer.
Bless her heart.
My favorite line she says is that she can't even afford to pay herself.
That's where's the link to this? This looks good.
Oh, I can give you guys the link. I'll do like I did with all our friends here. I'll put it into the comments section there. That way it makes life easier. You can't say, "Hey Ralph, I can't find it." Well, you can't find it. It's right there in the comment section. And I'll share it here in the
those people will always find a way to not find it. Even when I'll literally send them a step-by-step tutorial, they'll be like, "I don't get it." And I'm like,
and for us,
you can literally wear it on your face and they won't find it. They will miss it. What was that again?
I see it in the private chat. So it's there.
Yeah, put it into the private chat for us so you guys can get it right there. Make life easier. And on Wednesday, our friend Fish here will be hanging out with us again Wednesday because he's going to be guest hosting. Vaughn, you are more than welcome to on Wednesday. I think Wednesday is going to be a little free-for-all and having fun. So if you're free on Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, come check out Written Writ, where we talk all beautiful things geekery, and creative.
All right, 10 p.m. Wednesday? Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
Some of my favorite subjects.
And we're also going to have the guys from Shattermere Comics who took their D&D campaign and made it into a comic book.
Oh, cool.
And wait till you see the cover for issue 9.
It's
called Hardly Heroes.
Oh, shoot,
I have been running a superhero RPG for 30 years, and some of those stories are just now starting to appear in Green Zone side stories, like in Fish Tales. Absolutely came out of a game and now is in there.
I definitely want to. I have a show at 9:30, so we'll see if I'm hitting the circuit, man. But I'll let you know.
Definitely
Want to.
If you just want to jump in, we've done it before. We'll slide you right.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good, dude. I'd love to. This has been a lot of fun. It's been a great show.
Dude, I love this.
It's always a good time.
Always a good
time. Yeah. I love just talking about this stuff. It's always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Fun.
Dude, one of the things that when I started the show, one of the things I was thinking about is I want to have that conversation that's happening at the convention across the table. I want to bring that to the people because there's nothing like that conversation that happens across the table at a comic book convention. It is so free. And that's what we try to bring you here on both shows, Apple Bites and the Written Writ. And I think that's it for tonight, folks. Join us on Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time for the Written Writ. And of course, we'll have Shattermere Mr. Fish himself over here, and maybe Vaughn might show up. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. If I can, I'd love to. So, thank you so much.
There you have it, folks. I will end this show in the way that this show ends, which is this.